What's up, guys? Today I've got a little treat here. It's a Polish P64 and came with 3 mags. Right here's 2, here's a third one, and also came with this holster, and we're gonna be doing a couple shots with it here, so let's see how it looks. So right here's the gun, and I'm gonna be shooting some Golden Bear ammo. One quick thing I want to show you guys is the mag release is not like a standard gun where it's right here. It's actually on the bottom. You're going to be pulling this tab back, and that's actually how it releases the magazine. If you get good with it, you can do it with your pinky, but with gloves it's kind of hard. I actually got it there, but I'll probably end up using my thumb on my opposite hand to pull that out.
Yep.
Bags out. Hit another one. That one's out. Pretty fun little gun.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Aaron from Black Swamp Preppers. Got kind of a little informational, kind of a fun little video going over a couple different Makarovs here. First I want to start out with this here is a Bikail. This is a Russian Makarov, about as close to a real Russian PM as most any regular guy's gonna get, unless you were, around where you could have got one when they come over in the early 80s. This is a commercial Bikail. These were imported in the 90s. They were made in the Ishvesh plant, which changed its name to Baikal. These are made specifically for import to the U.S. and to other countries for the commercial market. So any Makarov derivative is chambered in the 9x18 Makarov round. That's a 94 grain FMJ. This is a real Russian surplus lacquered case, sealed primer. That is a 94 grain FMJ. This is a Hornady 95 grain FTX. This is their defense line made specifically for Makarov family pistols. And as you can see here, this is a 9x19 9mm Luger. Essentially, a 9mm Makarov is just a 9mm Luger short. You can see here that it's just a squeak shorter, actually 1mm. Hence the 9x19 part and the 9x18 part. So any Makarov derivative will be chambered in the 9x18 cartridge. So like I said here, this is a Bikail, about as close as you're going to get to a real Russian Makarov without being a PM. The original Russian Makarov was designed in 1948 by Nikolai Makarov, and the PM, as they're called in Russia, stands for Pistoly Makarov, and that's just basically Makarov's pistol is what it translates to. But this one here features a 7-round magazine, again of the 9x18. We can see we've got some markings here. This is the Bikail marking. That's the actual model of the import of the gun that it is. Here we have an import mark, Big Bear Arms in Dallas, Texas. And over here we've got the caliber and Makarov, made in Russia. Like I said, this is the old Ishvesh plant. If you remember them from like the Mosin Nagants, the SKSs, it's that same plant, but it changed its name to Bikail in the late 80s. They started selling single-shot shotguns, and they started reproducing the Makarovs for export. Now, specific to the Bikail export model, you have kind of a cheaply crafted rear adjustable sight. It's crude, it's rather large, but it gets the job done. And that's one thing on a lot of these older Makarovs. Everything on them is sharp. Everything wants to jab you, poke you, stick you, make you bleed, make you hurt. I don't know why. It's just the way they are. Maybe the Russians got tougher hands, but I feel like, to me, I want to wear gloves when I'm using the darn thing. But this guy's got the lanyard loop like the original. We have a European style or a heel mag release. Down here, right there, it's actuated by pulling it backwards. Then you can pull the magazine out. We have a safety, left side only, non-ambidextrous. All Makarovs are double action or single. They're double action. We've got a slide release here on the left side. Any of these style Makarovs, now when you get into like the CZ82s, they're a little different, but they all come apart the same way. You're going to want to pull your trigger guard down, and it kind of torques, and it'll just sit on the side here. Actually, it helps if you cock it first, so you can see we are unloaded. We're going to remove the magazine, leave it cocked, pull our trigger guard up, then you're going to pull all the way to the rear and lift up. Your slide comes off for easy cleaning. Your op spring is kind of, it's tighter fitting up here. It can be removed if you pull it, but then you got to get it to seat back right so that everything goes back on it as it should. It goes right around the chamber here. But as you can see, you can get right to everything you need to do a pretty quick, clean job on it. Then to reassemble, you just put the front of the spring down into the front of the slide, and you're going to put that back onto the guide rails on the back and reinstall your trigger guard back where it goes, and you've got a functional pistol. So this is kind of the founding father of all the Makarov family, or at least pretty close to it. The real Makarov is going to have, Bakelite grips, and it's going to have a fixed rear sight. It's going to be, but in size and weight and everything, it's pretty much the same as the Bikail here. But what that spawned in the Comblock countries is, Mother Russia has come up with this great design for a pistol, and it was put into service in 1951, and it's still in service to this day with certain police forces and task forces. But so all the Comblock countries wanted to start making these things, and they started making them a little bit different. They started making them the exact same, but different countries started putting their little twists on them, and that's where we get these other guys from. So I'm going to go to next, which is again, a Makarov derivative. We have here a Polish P64. Check it here. We're clear. We're hammer down. We have a Polish P64 in the original leather holster. This features a 6-round magazine, again, in 9x18. As you can see here, it just says 9mm P64. And on the right side, we've got some serial numbers. We've got a date here, 74. And right here, you see a circle and an 11. That's a Polish armory stamp. That's the Radom facility in Poland. That's the actual Radom factory. That is their signature mark, is the circle 11. And here we've got an import mark from when it comes to the U.S. So, unlike the original Makarov, the P64 does not boast a slide release. There is no slide release on the gun. Your slide release is pulling the magazine out and doing that. There is no slide release. There's no way to lock the slide back unless you have a mag in the chamber. Now, when you have a loaded magazine and you put that in, the bullet will push down on that little bar in there, and you'll be able to pull it back and let it go, and it'll chamber the round without obviously having to drop the magazine. That would be kind of stupid. But again, we've got the safety on the left side, no slide release, same takedown way with the trigger guard, involving the trigger guard. We've got some kind of plasticky Bakelite grips. We have a very small sight picture on the P64. We just have a little dovetail in the rear, a little notch, and just a real little bump in the front. Very basic, very crude sight picture, but it gets the job done. One quick thing regarding the P64 that I forgot to mention. The Polish did put in a decock on the P64, and you use your safety selector here. As you can see, the hammer is pulled back as if we were ready to fire. But when you push down on the safety, that engages a transfer bar safety that's going to go in front of your firing pin right there. It's going to put a little blocker in front of that, and it's going to keep it from firing, and it's going to drop your hammer in a safe manner. As you can see, I'm just going to push straight down, and it drops the hammer, and it's ready to be stored or holstered however you're going to carry it. So we've got the P64 here. We've got the PM here. PM look-alike. And now for my favorite of the three that I can get my hands on, we have the Czechoslovakian CZ82. So as you can see here, this guy's been around the block a time or two. This is a CZ82, not a CZ83. The 83s were made specifically for export from Czechoslovakia. This is in fact a real CZ82. It was used by the Czechoslovakian police force, and you can see that it's had its fair share of holster wear and encounters down in the streets of Czechoslovakia. And we've got the original leather holster for it here. There's also a single magazine pouch that's the same leather company here too. Now on the CZ82, same control. The controls are basically the same. We've got a safety here, but it's ambidextrous. One on the left side, one on the right side. Full ambidextrous safety. We do have a slide stop, like the Makarov, but apart from the P64. Only on the left side. So we have a slide stop and ambidextrous safety. And we have a ambidextrous magazine release, where it's supposed to be. Not in the European or the heel style. And a double stack magazine with a 12 round capacity of 9x18. You can see here we've got a 3-dot sight picture, which is a vast improvement over the Makarov, the original Makarov. You've got a much larger, a much easier to pick up on sight picture that does prove to be much more accurate and easy to use. Now, the gun itself, it might not be much heavier, but I have extra large sized hands, glove size hands, and this firearm here just fills my hand out a lot better than something smaller like the Makarov, or something even smaller than the Makarov, the P64. As you can see, this P64 does have a little pinky extension on the magazine. However, it's just such a small frame, it's kind of uncomfortable for me to actually hold. The Makarov, I have an issue. I get a lot of slide bite with a Makarov. Because of how low the slide comes back, and because of how fat my hands are, I actually come up over the tang and usually end up getting bit by the slide on a Makarov. Now, as you can see on here, we have a nice beaver tail integrated to the CZ82, which keeps a fat Polox hands like mine out of the way of the slide. Keeps it well out of the way of the slide. Like I said, it fills my hand out better. It's got the magazine where it's supposed to be. We've doubled our capacity over the original Makarov, or the P64. 12 rounds instead of 6 or 7. It's got the 3-dot sight picture. Same badass little cartridge, the 9x18. And we've got some little stippling on the grips. The top here are kind of oily. They're kind of, not really greasy, but they're slicker than something like on the Makarov or on the P64, where you've got much more stippling on the pistol grip. And again, the disassembly on the CZ82 is pretty much as follows. It involves the trigger guard. You're going to pull that straight down, pull the slide back, up, and off it comes. The spring, everything else, just about the same as all the other ones. Now, we had a little bit of light left, and you've seen earlier in the video, Michael did some shooting with the P64. They basically all shoot very similar. It's the same cartridge. However, again, out of the three, My favorite to shoot is the CZ82. It's the recoil is a little bit different because it fills your hand out a little bit better. It feels it's not as skinny as your hand in your hand. It doesn't feel like it quite wants to fly out of your hand as much as a regular Makarov does, which if you got a good grip on it, nothing should be flying out of your hand, but you get what I mean. A couple things I did want to go over on this. I went over some of the markings on the other ones. This here, we've just got some serial numbers, and on the bottom here you can see that it is in fact a CZ82 in 9x18 millimeter, and that just, you know, the factory from Czechoslovakia. But, so that was a quick overview of a couple of the Makarov pistols here. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the little overview of the 3 different Makarovs that I've got here. If you guys like this kind of older military-style mil-serp stuff, leave them in the comments below or message us somehow and let us know that you guys like these kind of videos. And me and Michael do our best to get our hands on some other military surplus stuff to go over with you. They've all got their respected holsters here. We've got a sticky with the Bikail, the leather for the CZ82, and the original leather for the P64. Now, in the mindset of prepping, one of these would make a great concealed carry or a little camping gun. They're fairly inexpensive if you're going to stay away from the Russian. Those tend to get a little more pricey. But if you're going to go with the different variant like the P64 or the CZ82, them can be had between $250 to $400, depending on the condition and, you know, all matching numbers and things like that. But in the sense of the Black Swamp preppers, yes, these would make a great prepping tool. They're easy to carry, they're easy to function, they're fairly accurate. The 9x18 packs plenty of a punch for self-defense or for, you know, an animal attack, something like that. Especially if you go with something like these little boogers here from Hornady. You can't go wrong with just about anything from Hornady. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed our little overview. And like I said, if you like these kind of videos, let us know and we'll try our best to get some more made for you. So comment, rate, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.